Hello everybody. I wanted to do a video on how to loosen a rusty bolt or a nut without using heat. If you've got access to heat and the bolt and nut is in a place that you can use heat, that works great. But if you're like me, I don't have a source of heat, and I can go buy a little torch. But let me show you a little technique that was taught to me. I used to be a GM mechanic, worked in GM dealership for about 8 years, and there was an old man there that taught me a lot of little, as he would say, tricks of the trade. And if you run across a nut or a bolt that you can get to, you want to use a penetrating spray. A lot of people use PB Blaster, and if that's what you like and want to use, that's great. I mentioned this in another video. This is something that I have used. It's called Rust Penetrant and Inhibitor Heat Valve Lubricant. I get it through the GM dealership. It's about $7 or $8 a can, but it lasts forever. It has graphite in it, and it, in my opinion, is far better than PB Blaster. And I spray a little bit of this on whatever I'm working on. And then if you can let it set, spray it periodically if you've got the time. But as you start to take the nut or bolt off and you start turning it, and I've already had this one off, but you feel it start getting a little tight, don't keep pushing it. You will wring the bolt off. You will break it. Bring it back a little bit in the tight position. And then keep working it a little bit at a time and let it go a little further and a little further each time, working that nut back and forth, and you can spray it as you work it. And then just keep working it, and eventually you'll get it off. And you can do so without breaking it. Sometimes, it doesn't matter if you break it or not. If it's a nut and a bolt, you can always put a new one in it. But if you're trying to get a bolt out of a block or something, you can't always easily get a broken off bolt. And so if you'll use that method and just spray it, and work it back and forth a little at a time. Go a little bit. When you start feeling it getting tight or snug, spin it in the clockwise position to tighten it down, and then go again and work it a little at a time. I found that to be very helpful and useful. It's not guaranteed that you'll never break a bolt again, but if you use that method, I think you'll find that it'll break far less bolts than normal. I use this spray. I'm working on a lever for my Suburban, and this thing was rusted solid. And I've been spraying it, and I've got it, I can't turn it by hand yet, but in the vise, if I clamp it down, I've got it to where I can turn it a little bit. This thing was pretty rusted down in there, and I've just been spraying around the opening there, and you can watch it penetrate down into it. So I really like this stuff. It's worth the money to me. I'd rather pay a little bit more for something that works and I have nothing against PB Blaster, but I find this stuff is really effective on rust. We used it as a mechanic in a GM dealership whenever we had to take exhaust manifolds off and exhaust pipes. We would use that on the nuts, and it was very effective. Of course, you had to have the patience to get the nuts off still. You never want to put an impact gun or anything like that on them. You'll definitely break them off. But anyway, thought I'd share that little tip with you. Hope you all have a great day. Until next time, bye.